Hello and welcome to another episode of Staying Power, a show that is all about building a better life. And that is all something that we want. At least I think so. And Ashley thinks so. And every week we get together to talk for just 1 hour or so about one element of what building a better life can look like. And we hope it's something that resonates with you. And who's we? Me, JDK Winnikin, and across from me, as always, completing the ensemble, making the whole thing work, is my friend, my business partner, my creative consultant.
What?
Yes, Ashley Knievel. Hi,
you.
Ashley.
Hi.
Well, yeah, this is a creative endeavor that we're doing here, right?
This feels nice.
Yeah, it is nice. And, by the way, Happy New Year's Eve to everyone who's listening. Happy New Year to you, Ashley.
Oh, thank you. I know. We're right there.
I know. It's wild. Just a handful more hours, at least at times of this recording. So snap. Exciting, right? Hard to believe we're already here, isn't it?
Are you doing anything for New Year's? How are you bringing in the year?
I commemorate every year. I do stay up. I like to be awake, but I tend to like a quiet New Year's. I kind of like to mark it with just a little bit of silence and just kind of reflection, contemplation, looking forward, because, you know, the rest of the world just keeps going, right? The mountains, the trees, the oceans, the wind, it's all constant. And time is what we create, right? So I like to acknowledge that. So it's fun. How about you?
Same. I like a nice, quiet, like dim the lights, maybe have like the little twinkle lights or like some candles.
There you go.
And whatnot.
Okay, well then,
ring in the new year that
then
way.
It's official. Then I'll
glass
make sure
of champagne.
There you go. There you go. Yes, you always have to have a glass of something to toast, but then I will make sure I send you a text as soon as possible, since I know you'll be up.
Of your dark room?
Yeah.
From one to the
Happy
other.
New Year. From one dark room to another. So,
that works.
Anyway, well, all the best to you, of course, for 2026.
Same.
And to all of you out there, we hope you have a wonderful new year and that you've had a wonderful holiday season. And remember, if you want to catch up on any episode of Staying Power, you can get this as a podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We also have our YouTube channel. If you'd like to watch the show, we would love to have you show up there and subscribe and leave us a review. You can also find out more about us at our radio home, 1150 AM KKNW in Seattle. And at all those locations, you can find show notes. You can find ways to contact us, particularly our email, stayingpowershow@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. So, all right, Ashley, it is New Year's. So, I mean, New Year's brings up really interesting things for people, right? It's, as we just said, it's a time of reflection. It's a time of looking forward. Last year, we talked about how resolutions don't really work, and we might do that again to a certain degree today. But I really liked how you wanted to talk about tonight's topic.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a New Year's themed topic. I mean, we should do that. But I really liked how you framed this when you came up with it as an idea. Yeah.
I remember how I framed it.
You trying to remember how you framed it?
Yeah, it was so good.
It was so good.
What was it?
How
did I say it?
You said, what we should talk about is New Year's as excitement and spice of life opportunities rather than what's my resolution, what's my goal, what's this thing. Even though those are okay, I liked the vibe you were going for. You called it the spice of life.
Spice of life.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Thank you for that reminder.
Okay, you remember now? You've had such a busy week.
Yeah.
It's a busy time, right?
It's been, at least in my industry, it has been a stretch.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, you've been mentioning that the last few weeks. So you survived it.
Survived. I'm looking great, obviously.
You are. Yeah, and really, if you haven't checked out our YouTube channel, you really should, if nothing else, just to gaze
JD's face.
Just to gaze at Ashley and then to watch her laugh at me on a regular basis, roll her eyes. But what I liked about your idea, Ashley, was there's often a lot of pressure we can put ourselves in New Year's. Yeah. The pressure to reinvent, to make resolutions, to set expectations, which often can maybe be unrealistic. And I don't think it's a bad thing to wrestle with that because, it's as good a time as any, right, to reset or do some things differently. And I think we all come from a good place on that. But what if we shifted, and this is what I liked about what you said, what if we shifted towards cultivating curiosity, excitement, feeling alive, the experience of things rather than doing things? That's what I took from. Is that what you meant?
That is one way you could put that, yes.
Okay.
Which makes sense because by nature, that's how I view things. Is it's exciting, and I generally will reframe things to fit kind of that mold of, like, even a few episodes back when we were talking about getting sick And I'm like, I'm always excited because I'm like, okay, what are the regimens I'm going to do? What are the things I'm going to help support my body with? And I'm like,
it is wild.
So excited.
It is wild. Yeah, that was something. I remember being really surprised by that. I'm like, wow, she gets excited about being sick. That is true, process. Though. And what I do want listeners and viewers to know is she's absolutely right about that. You do approach everything with a lot of excitement, unless you're really angry, and then you're not excited at all.
No excitement, no trace.
No excitement. And what I appreciate about it is it's a reminder to me that we get to choose how we confront something. Because I can get wrapped up in, because you know me, I like to reflect, I like to look back, I like to study, I like to dig into perspectives and that type of thing. And so I can kind of unknowingly in that process put pressure on myself, because I do have a real natural drive to keep doing things better than I've done them, to keep growing, to keep expanding. But you have this vibrancy about it, which I really liked, that I think sometimes runs counter to how we view New Year's. Particularly these last few years, it's been so, there's so much going on in the world and so much, so much negative energy and things like that. So, but what's interesting about this, so of course, I immediately dug into the science.
Here we go.
Science, okay, of this. Here's what's interesting. If any of you out there gets anxious at the holidays or anxious around New Year's, here's something interesting that's actually, I think, really cool. Excitement, cultivating excitement, hits the same area of the brain that cultivating anxiety does.
I could see that.
It does. It hits the same spot. And actually, and what it does, though, that's different, is excitement, cultivating that and just deciding to be excited, gets you immediately curious and thinking about possibility and exploration, which puts you in the prefrontal cortex, as opposed to the other one, anxiety, which is self-criticism, right? And kind of negative views of oneself. And so the very idea of just being excited about the new year, to make the decision to be, can actually make you excited.
Yep. And I'm obviously living proof. But I mean, to be fair, because usually at least I believe, when people are making resolutions or, when they sit down and they're like, hey, what are we going to do? What am I going to change?
Yeah. What's the big goal?
Right. Because we're looking for areas to improve. And usually I think people look for the improvements, they look to their faults first, the ones that they will actually grant themselves as a fault of like, oh, I need to be better in this. I usually don't hear people being like, I have an anger problem, I'm going to try and be better about that. Not those ones. It's more like, oh, I want to be more physically active. So, in that regard, it's a fault that they feel like they're not active enough. So they're going to put themselves in an opportunity to do more. But maybe instead of not looking for the faults, but like we were saying, is look for the things that are spice of life, like new things. Right. That could bring more opportunity and more fun and more memories and new things to try. Sure.
Yeah, I think that's exciting. And you could even reframe the very things you were talking about from that same point of view. Rather than focusing on, I'm going to lose 40 pounds this year. Get excited about of getting in better shape and feeling better and seeing what happens. Right? Creating an open-ended question of excitement. What would happen if I walked every single day for 20 minutes or as many days as I could for 20 minutes? What would change? What would happen over time? Being open to things and recognizing that things don't ever go the way we plan, right? As important as plans can be, they don't ever quite go according to plan, but also just seeing what you're capable of doing. And yes, the spice of life, though, is like the zest of life. What are the things that you can do that will be fun, but also challenging and bring you more enjoyment? Might even bring some discomfort along the way, right? But things like that. So I think that's kind of a fun way, to go into this next year. And that's why I'm excited we're doing this on New Year's Eve, right? It seems like the perfect time to talk about it. So, all right. So a few other things on the science front, okay? With this before we get there. So I already said anxiety and excitement trigger the same parts of the brain, and they trigger similar responses except for one area. Excitement doesn't trigger cortisol, the stress hormone, the way that anxiety does, right? And yes, I recognize that there are plenty of people who struggle with anxiety, that the idea of just deciding to be excited may not even feel possible, right? And so if you are one of those people who are listening, I would say don't pretend that you can just force excitement. But be open perhaps to the idea of what excitement could look like. And when you find it, allow it to happen, right? Even if it's over something pretty relatively small in your, in your estimation. The brain also loves novelty, right? And you like novelty. I know you like trying new stuff, right? You like doing new things.
I do.
Yeah. You like those things. And that produces dopamine, and we appreciate all of that. And what dopamine really responds to, anticipation and curiosity, which excitement does. So if you plan to go on a trip, for example, to a new place, even if it's only an hour away, you get both of those things. You get that dopamine effect. It's not just achievement that does that. We tend to think like, if I accomplish this goal, I'm going to feel great. I'm going to get a dopamine hit. You will, but it's not just about that, right? When you add novelty and meaning together, right, you get motivation. Those two things together. And then, of course, perception shapes possibility, right? And this is one of the things I love about you in general, Ashley, is you choose perceptions that open up the most amount of possibility for you. And it's something that I learn from constantly, that I remember that how I choose to perceive something is going to determine what I see as possible from it. Yeah.
I would concur.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So with that in mind, Ashley also had another wonderful idea.
I know. I was really full of great ideas.
You really were
on it.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, you were. You're on it, and it was cool. But we decided, based on Ashley's idea, that we're going to put our money where our mouth is on this for this
call
year.
ourselves on the carpet.
We're going to call ourselves out because it's easy for us to talk about it. But we're also, hopefully, listeners know we're talking about ourselves. We're not just talking to you. We're talking to ourselves as well. We're still working on all these things, figuring these things out, practicing these things. But we decided as a way to show what we're talking about and to see how it goes over the course of the next year. And perhaps if you choose to join us in this, more to come on that, we would each choose something to commit to over the next year that we will do and continue to report back to all of you on a regular basis, both on this show and on our social media feeds and a few other new things that are coming up soon in 2026. We would choose to do this, and it would be something that we'd be excited about and would push us a little bit in our comfort zones and would create some immediate accountability with, first of all, each other, Ashley, but then with all of you. And so we're teasing that a little bit. Do we have time to go into those just now?
I mean, I think we're quick.
If we're quick?
We're quick.
Do we want to save it now, or do we want to? Okay, we got 5 minutes. According,
we can do it now.
You want to do it now?
Why not?
All right.
We have our 2 minutes of.
Oh yeah, we have 2 minutes of triumph.
Yeah,
coming in on the other end of the first break. Okay, let's do that. Okay, and then we'll move what I was going to talk about. We'll move that to later. We can do that too.
You all right with that?
I think so. Okay. Now that we've teased it, we should talk about it. Okay. So you as always, go first.
Okay. Well, it was my idea to do this, and I was thinking of I want to do something that I feel like is obtainable. I want to set myself up for success, and I want it to be something that I will grow into, that will help grow me as an individual. Could it be fun? Could it also be beneficial? So, and this is kind of probably one that a lot of people choose, but I'm really going to try and commit to this. Like, I really am going to hold myself accountable with the listeners and you and myself, is spend an hour per week learning a second language. And I'm probably going to choose Spanish. And it's very common language around nowadays. Like, a lot of people know a little bit of Spanish here and there, but a good number of my patients come in speaking Spanish, and one of my assistants is fluent. So I'm like, perfect. This is great. I'm surrounded by people that are going to help, but it also is going to help me communicate with people that don't know English. Even if it's just basic, like helping them with like smaller things. I may not be able to conversate the whole way, but that's what I'm committing to. Very nice. Very nice. Have you studied other languages before? Small stuff, like high school. In high school? Like not dedicated to the craft. Okay. So. What led you to choose that? That? Yeah. Like, I mean, you realize you have patients and things like that, but the idea is to help them they'll feel more welcome. You'll have better idea of how to help them. Because, I mean, I work in healthcare. So if you can speak the same language as the person coming in and it's about their health, it's a huge difference. Or if it's about like money and paying for things, like you want to make sure that they understand and that, you're speaking on the same language with things like that. Or just, there's so much that can do, but that's the first thing that came to mind of where I could really utilize something like that.
Yeah.
And plus it gives me another way to talk. So
Right.
that's also great.
Right. This is true. And you have somebody you can converse with in that language.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I have some recommendations on how she should do that. But
Okay.
We'll talk about it later.
Do we have time for JD's?
Do we have time? 3 minutes. Okay, we do have time.
Let's go.
Thank goodness for Nathan behind the board.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan. Okay, so mine is a challenge. And the reason why is not because I'm not a friendly person or I don't know how to talk
We all
or anything
know
like that.
those are not true.
I know, but how we all know this. Yes. And believe it or not, I do spend a lot of time on my own. I spend a lot of time writing. I spend a lot of time, doing work. I spend a lot of time one-on-one coaching. I do a lot of that. I'm not always out and about. My life can feel very, very limited sometimes. And we also live in a period of time where I think, generally speaking, certainly across this country and in many areas around the world, we're living through what's being called by many people a loneliness crisis. And really what I think that means is people are struggling to connect, but they really want to connect. But they think it's really difficult, right? And for some people it can be. But we've had a lot of challenges over the last 5-10 years that have made this type of isolation or that type of difficult feeling feel even more palpable as time goes by. So I want to challenge that in my own life and hopefully push other people to do the same. And this is what I'm going to do. I am going to introduce myself to a new person every single day of 2026.
Snap.
Yep.
Every single day.
Every single day. And it does
New
not
person.
count if someone introduces themselves to me and then I introduce myself back.
Okay.
Which means it's going to force me to, even with my routine is going to have to get me out in the world a bit more. It's going to have to get me out of my house where I do a lot of my work. It's going to even have to get me out of the studio where I do work. It's going to have to get me out, moving around, paying attention to the world around me and paying attention to the possibility of just talking to somebody brand new.
So is it like you're going to introduce and conversate a little bit with somebody?
As much as someone's willing
Can't
to
just
do
be
that.
like, hi, I'm JD.
I'm JD, see you later. No,
on that famous podcast you
Right.
probably should listen to. Like,
No, it's actually, yes, with the intent of that. Now, some days that might be the person at, a checkout counter. It might be that, right? But it might not be.
All right.
So I'm every single day, and then I'm going to report back on what that experience is like.
You're going to have some great stories.
I think so. I think I'm also going to have some unexpectedly weird ones, but we'll see
sure.
how that goes. Okay. So that's the announcement. We'll come back to it. We'll be talking more about it in the weeks ahead and on social media. But let's go ahead and take our first break here on Staying Power. When we come back, it'll be our weekly segment. This week it is 2 Minutes of Triumph, and we have more to talk about the spice of life here on New Year's Eve. Be back in just a minute.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Are you ready to discover remarkable stories of resilience and cultural connection? This is Diaspora, a show sharing the journeys of first-generation immigrants from the Indian subcontinent now building their lives in North America. Inspiring, insightful, and always engaging, Diaspora offers a unique perspective on the immigrant experience. Join me, Aditya Mehta, my guests, on the Diaspora Show every Wednesday at 2 p.m. right here on KKNW.
Smart Talk for Smart People. Alternative Talk 1150 AM.
Welcome back to Staying Power. JD here with Ashley.
Hi.
And it is New Year's Eve, so we hope that you are enjoying your celebration wherever you are, or if it's past New Year's by the time you hear this, we hope it was great. And welcome to 2026. So before we get into talking more about this spice of life idea, this way to approach New Year's, it's a little different than usual. Let's do our weekly segment where Ashley and I each take 2 minutes to talk about something that happened this past week, what we learned from it, and all in the name of vulnerability and connection, all the things that are so important to us on this show. Here we go. 2 minutes of triumph. Bingo.
There
All
we
right,
have it.
Ashley, you are first.
I am first. Okay. Well, I am happy and proud to say that I onboarded a team member recently, and it's been recent, like a few weeks, maybe about a month, and it's been going so great. It's amazing how when you put the right person in a right role, what it can really do.
Okay.
And I see it's been a benefit, obviously, for me, but it's been a benefit for the rest of my team.
Oh, nice.
Substantially. They have brought a lot of good knowledge and support and ability, and they're a very nice, sweet individual. And it's just been such a huge improvement for
Nice.
where I work. So
Nice.
it's been great.
So this is kind of a key team member in a key spot.
Yes.
Boy, that makes all the difference.
It makes a huge difference.
It's a huge difference.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that you guys put a lot of work into looking for this person. So that's got to feel validating, if nothing else, and gratifying.
Yeah,
as well.
and it's a two-way street. Going through that process of trying to find somebody is like, yeah, we want to fill the role and we're looking for somebody, but we want them to feel like we're the right fit for them too. So, it's kind of like, dating when you both realize like, yep, I connect and I connect. Okay, it's great. It's similar to that, but a little bit is important because in this role, it's very meaningful and it's very impactful role. So the fact that we've got a really good fit, I think, on both sides is fantastic.
Well, it's such an important part of any work environment. You're spending 8 hours a day, 5 days a week with these people, right? That matters a lot. That's awesome. Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Hopefully that's going to help make things smoother across the
think it
board,
will.
as much as one thing can, but nevertheless, that's awesome. Congratulations. Mine is, I had this week of getting to witness a number of clients, and by that I mean 4 clients, have moments that really profoundly affected them, realizations in the course of our conversations of some things and some actions that proved to them, showed each of them where their agency was in these various situations that they're working on with me.
Really?
And and it was more like I just got to witness it. Right now, I've been working with each of these clients for a little while now, but each one of them has, of course, they've all been willing to do this work, right? Which is sort of a prerequisite of doing coaching. You have to have someone willing to do it. But to watch in 4 straight sessions with 4 different people, these light bulbs go on of not just realization, but seeing it and recognizing it in their actions and in their attitude and how things had changed for them was really, really amazing to watch. And I felt like it wasn't really an accomplishment on my part. It wasn't. It was their accomplishment. But that I got to see that helped me frame some things going on with me in a little bit of a different way and go, oh yeah, okay. There's a reminder there for me that I've got a little more agency in this area. So I found myself learning from and being inspired by them very much so this week. That happens regularly, but not to have it in such a short period of time, was really amazing. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. It was fun. And it came along at a really good time right before the new year. So,
what a way to ring in that spice of life.
well, and they're going to be listening to this episode at some point if they, if they do their homework, right? All right. Anyway, I'm just kidding. All right. Okay. Thanks. Well, that's awesome. I love the triumphs, right?
They're great.
Yeah.
I like both of our segments.
Oh, they're
honestly.
great. They're great. Yeah. And I think next week we'll do 2 minutes of terror just to kind of keep it,
switch it up.
Keep switching it up. Okay. All right. So with this spice of life, Ashley, where do you want to go with this? Because we put forward now what we're going to do, right? What we're doing. What is it about this spice of life idea that, really expand upon that's going to be useful for everybody listening? What is it about that? Because you're a person who lives spice of life. You do it more so than almost anybody else I know.
Really?
You do.
Oh, interesting.
You do. You do. Now, you sometimes lose sight of that because you're busy a lot,
Sure.
right? And you work in an industry that requires that. But when you're not out of that, there's something about how you vibe that I think is pretty much what you're talking about here.
Well,
so let's talk about this.
Let's roll with that.
Let's roll with that because rather than, you mentioned it earlier, is rather than goal oriented or rather specific things, it's about a feeling, about something else. Let's explore that. Like, what could those be, for example?
All right. Well, an example actually comes to mind. I was just speaking with somebody the other week, and they asked, and this is like an example of what you mean by like, I find the spice of life, is they were asking me like, what time of day do you prefer to work out? You a morning person or a nighttime person? And I'm like, honestly, either or. And, just depending on scheduling or whatever. And they were talking about how they struggle to get up in the morning workout, that they think morning workouts would probably be beneficial for them as opposed to working a full day and then trying to get, because you never know how your day is going to go. So are you going to have like a smooth sail day where you got plenty of energy and a good attitude, anticipation, go to the gym, or is it going to be like, no, I'm just really dead, I need to go home type of thing? And so she's like, I want to go in the morning, but I hate the early mornings and whatnot. And I was like, well, how many times have you gone early in the morning? She's like, oh man, only like once or twice. I'm like, well, I would, encourage or challenge you to go a few more times in a row in the morning, because you already are walking into it, the idea that I don't like this. And when you come out on the other side, you're grateful you did it. You're proud of yourself, but you're still like, but I didn't like it. And I'm like, give yourself the opportunity to find something that you like in it. But if you only go 2 times and both times you're like, I don't like it, well, you're not going to find something you like in it. But if you go like 5, 6, 10 times, then all of a sudden you might be like, oh, wow, actually in the morning, now that I've done it a few times, I've learned this. Right. That there's one thing in there. Yeah. And it gives yourself the opportunity. And I think that's what people fall short on, unfortunately, is they don't give themselves, they don't stick to something long enough to find the opportunity, the other spice of life in it. Right. Even if it's still something that they don't getting up early in the morning. There's something in that process that they learn to like, and that pursuit of getting to that makes getting up early worth it. Is that what you mean? Yeah. Well, sometimes like, to me, that's kind of the fun challenge of it is I'm like, okay, is there anything in here that I could possibly enjoy? Is there anything that's positive in this besides the obvious, like in that example, you're doing something good for yourself, right? But aside from that, you're building the habit of getting up early. Yeah. You're starting your body off with goodness and exercise. It's just for you. And it is only for you. Right. Yes. Yeah. You made a commitment to you. You kept the commitment. You held your promise. And you feel that. And you start to learn, you're building a habit of you can count on you. Yeah. Even when you don't like it, you can still come back to count on you. Right. Right. I like that idea. It's a great example. I know for me, working out in the morning can feel challenging. I like it in the afternoon. I've found I like it in the afternoon if I'm able to do it because it's a great break from everything I've been doing. And it helps me let out all the energy that I've been holding up and lets me settle into my day. However, I've been thinking more and more about maybe it would be better for me to do it in the mornings to set me up that way and find other ways on the backside. Because it is an endeavor, right? In the afternoon. Tired, got to plan your dinner, got to go eat, have stuff that you want to do in the evening. It can make it tough, right? But yeah, I like that. If you can find one thing in there, right, that's that way, right? For me, cooking is like that. Yeah. Right? We know you love to cook. I do love to cook, and I love the actual creative process of it. But the one thing I like about it the most is the moment when it's done and I sit down, and every time, I don't know if you've ever noticed this, you've eaten a couple of my meals before, but when I sit down, I know they're good. I thank you. I sit down and I put it down in front of me and I take a deep breath and I look at it. I do. I take a deep breath and I look at it and I go, I like how that looks. I like that presentation. And I set it up in such a way so that it looks good when I put it down. And that's the moment, because sometimes it gets a little harried, right? If I'm making multiple things and the kitchen's going harried. Oh, harried, should like be hairy food. Hurried. It gets hurried, complex. Lots of moving parts. Oh, geez, she's on one again. But that can happen. And so I have to focus on that moment that I know is so gratifying where I'm like, I made this. It's good for me. I'm going to enjoy it. A little self-appreciation moment. Exactly. And I like that. And I present it well. I always like to present my food. I don't just slop it all on a plate and go. I don't leave it in the pot like a bunch of bachelors do. I don't do any of that stuff. I set it up nice. I get my napkins, and if I have chopsticks, I have nice chopsticks, and I have that's how I do it. You know what? I will concur with that. That I have seen you like little childlike of like, wow, I am so proud of this. Is how it looks, but it's great, and it's good you do that because I don't think people actually do that. They don't stop
Generally.
to give themselves their own appreciation that they probably would give to somebody else if somebody else made that and gave
100%.
it, you know? And like, why not?
100%.
I mean, there is that phrase of romanticizing your life, right? And you were kind of talking about it, like not just throwing the food on the plate in the bowl and, you know, just grabbing a napkin and whatever. And it's like, no, you like set up a nice presentation. Like you treat yourself in that way.
Yep.
And some people might be like, yeah, but it's more dishes, it's a waste, blah, blah, blah.
Doesn't matter.
Because you're choosing to look at it that way.
Exactly. And it takes an extra 15 seconds to put a couple of extra dishes in the dishwasher. It doesn't take long. The other thing I enjoy with that is when I'm cooking for somebody. That's a really great moment, is when you hand it over to somebody, right? And you get it done right. So I was a little concerned, you know, I want to make sure they like it, things like that. But when I do that, I'm usually pretty good about finding out what they like and what they don't like. You know, like, do you like stuff spicy? Do you not? What food items do you like? There's something really gratifying about that, handing that over and having it presented nice and things like that. Because, you know, it's a way that we feed ourselves. And what you're talking about with exercise is the same thing. We're feeding ourselves in a different way.
I mean, I do that when I clean the house.
Do you?
After I like
Do you have a zest for life when cleaning the house? Spice
Are
for
you
life?
surprised?
No, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, sometimes I get all excited. Like in the morning, you know, obviously I'll make a to-do list. I'm like, okay, these are all the things I need to do today that I want to do. And the cleaning the house ends up being on it because I want to do that. I want to be in a nice, tidy, clean space. I feel better when things are organized and clean. So if I go through and like clean up everything and then I'll like walk back through and be like, oh, this is so nice. Look, everything's put away. That's polished. This is organized.
That's
like,
the moment is the walkthrough?
Yes.
That's what you
Afterwards, I'm like, oh, look at this. And it's not to be like, you know, like, oh, I'm so great. But it just, I'm like, I did this for myself because I know I do better in that kind of an environment. And I get excited about it. I get excited when I'm folding the laundry and I'm vacuuming because I know what my outcome's going to be.
Yeah.
And people hate doing laundry and vacuuming.
I like
And
doing
I'm
laundry.
not to say that I wake up being like, can't wait to vacuum today. But I mean, I'm just excited about what's going to happen on the other side of it. Yeah, I think laundry's great. I love doing laundry.
Yeah, I don't
Putting
mind.
it away, it's great.
I don't mind laundry at all. In fact, I get excited about it because I'm going to have my stuff that I like clean, right? I love all that stuff. It's interesting you mentioned laundry. One of my favorite feelings is when I get out and I walk or I go for a run. I'm not a huge runner. I don't like to do it, but it's good for me. And sometimes walking, I really should go walk for an hour or two, but I'm not sure I quote unquote have the time. The best feeling though is coming back after I've done that and just peeling all that stuff off. And it's just, you know, you did some work. That's a great feeling. Then hopping in the shower after something like that is the best feeling. Coming out clean, you know.
I've had that after jujitsu. When you come home and you're like peeling off your gi and your rash guard and you're like, I'm wearing how many other people's sweat right now that I need to shower off. And you're like, you feel so clean afterwards. And especially if you like had a really hard training session, your body is just wrecked. It's so sore. And you're like, I want to melt into my couch right now. But I'm like, look what I just did.
Yep.
I'm so excited about it.
Yeah. When I was doing triathlons about a decade ago, there was nothing about training for them that I really enjoyed other than the feeling of doing that, the accomplishment at the end. But the thing that would keep me going through all of them was the feeling of the shower at the end. That I would think about, or the first bite of something to eat at the end was like, what's it going to be, right? I always like to find out what it was going to be. If I was there with a crew of people, I wanted to know what it was so I could be looking forward to what it was, you know, or, you know, that first, because standing in that, right, and then coming out, having done that, that was enough to motivate me. I never quite framed it the way you did earlier, though. Like, look, it's a thing you don't necessarily look forward to doing, but what's one thing in it that you can find that you like? I like that.
Thanks.
That's spice of life. I like that.
One of the spices.
Well, and the funny thing about that is, you know, in how we build our sense of self, our identity, if you will, is through small actions one at a time, right? That's how we find out what we're made of, right? It's, you know, we can find out that we can go to the gym and do a workout, but it takes a lot of repetition of doing that to find out that we have the discipline and the grit and the desire and the follow through and to see the effects of all that. That's what changes the identity. And once a person has done that for a while, part of their identity becomes, I'm somebody who takes care of my body by going to the gym on a regular basis and paying attention to that. Right. You mentioned a couple of episodes ago that you are a person who takes care of their health.
Mhm.
That's one of your identity points. Everything that you've talked about so far has something to do with that. Keeping a clean place, jujitsu, exercise, all of those things. Even talking about in your 2 minutes of triumph, hiring a person that's helping everybody do better at work and feel better at work.
Mhm.
All those things matter. And all of those things I know in them have elements you don't necessarily enjoy.
Mhm.
But that's your key, huh? That's your secret, finding the one thing in there.
I mean, that's one of them, I guess.
That's one of
but
them.
I guess I just think that if I'm going to wake up and live a day, I would like to appreciate something out of it. And, I mean, we're going to be here. Let's have a good time. We're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time. So why not?
As much as possible.
As much as possible.
Might as well, right.
We're already here, and it's like things are what you make them. And I know people say that, and it kind of passes through one ear and out the other. But
yeah, it's a cliche for a reason.
it's very true.
It is.
You
It
can
is.
make anything great or not.
We choose our perceptions. And one of the fundamentals of the coaching we do is that we actually have more choice in our emotions and the actions we take on our emotions than we tend to think. And there is truth to that. That is agency. That is choice. That is framing. That is reframing. It requires effort. It requires action, right, with those things. But it's one of the reasons why we decided to challenge ourselves, right, in front of our listeners and viewers this year is for that reason. So I think all of that is really good. So good stuff. Thank you for explaining that. And those are great practical applications. I hope all of you now look at doing laundry a little bit better, a little bit more positively now, thanks to Ashley. So we might as well call this the Live Like Ashley episode.
Oh my God.
Anyway,
We could.
speaking of which, let's go ahead and take our second break here on Staying Power. When we come back, we'll talk about some practical applications, some things that have proven to work, not just from our own perspective and our own experience, but backed up by science and backed up by evidence. So we'll talk about that when we come on back here on Staying Power.
The more you listen to your kids, the closer you'll be. So we asked kids, what do you want your parents to hear?
I feel sometimes that I'm not listened to. I would just want you to listen to me more often and evaluate situations with me and lead me towards success.
Listening is a form of love. Find resources to help you support your kids and their emotional well-being at sounditouttogether.org. That's sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Pivotal.
Hello, I'm Chris Erdman. Every Wednesday at 8 a.m. on KKNW, I sit down with inspiring entrepreneurs, creative minds, and game changers to uncover the real stories behind their business. On my show, Made of More, we explore the challenges that they've overcome, the breakthroughs that they've celebrated, and the mindset that drives them forward. If you're ready to unlock your full entrepreneurial potential, Made of More is the show for you, because here we know you are made of more. Every Wednesday at 8 a.m. on KKNW.
Tech, health, politics, design, and more. We cover a lot on Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back to Staying Power. JD here with Ashley.
Hello.
And we are celebrating New Year's Eve tonight, the end of one
Spice
year,
of
the
life.
beginning of another year, by talking about the spice of life. And of course, who better to talk about spicy than Ashley? Of course.
I can be spicy. Yes.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. It's good. And hopefully what you're getting from this so far is that we're talking about designing your next year, right? It's not just creating a goal for next year. It's designing your next year. That's kind of the term that keeps coming back to me. You're talking about deliberate design, actually.
Yeah.
That was what you were thinking about with this. And a deliberate design that is focused, you've used words like excitement, spice of life, terms like that. Really, though, what we're talking about is designing a year that feels alive. What does it mean to experience aliveness or being alive? Yes, it's trying new things, doing new things, challenging yourself, enjoying small things, finding the one thing you like, even in the things you don't like to do, to make it worthwhile, make it easier to do. What is that you can do? And so we wanted to suggest some practices to all of you listeners in case you want to join us on this on this challenge of doing something new. Here are some things that we can be taking a look at. How can you craft your own alive year? So let's, Ashley, let's just kind of go back and forth on this. Where would you like to
Practical
start?
applications. Well, I would say, first thing is you should do a kind of an audit of your life and yourself to really figure out, kind of like that game little kids play, like when you're warmer or colder, when you're getting closer to it, it's warmer, right? Further colder. Do that with your life.
Ooh.
Like what what makes you feel better, warmer, more excited, and get closer to that.
It's an aliveness audit.
Yeah, right?
Okay.
Like pay attention of what makes you feel really good and really excited and figure out other things that could be similar to that. And then also pay attention of what makes you feel really drained or kind of down in the dumps or not very supported. Okay, now you have your scale of things. And obviously the ones you probably want to do a little less of, and the other ones you want to do a little more of. But it's good to have that foundation. And then when you have those, decide out loud in your brain and talk out loud to yourself. It's fine. It's normal. But what do I want more of? What do I want my life to be more textured with?
Ooh,
if
textured.
I could be in a room of my life and design it, what would I want it to look like? What kind of elements would I want to have in there?
Wow.
And then realize like, oh, my life could actually be that way? Nice. But it takes the realization first. You got to figure that out first.
I like that warmer versus colder, because when I think about it that way, I can identify those just off the top of my head. And so what does that mean, right? What should I do with that? And I like the word texture because it adds, what does texture do? If it's food, it adds flavor, right? It adds an element to that, it enhances that. If we're talking about a fabric, it makes it all that more interesting. It makes it show up a different way. I like that a lot.
Well,
so you do the audit
includes
for
sensories.
Yeah. Yeah.
Visually and everything.
Oh,
yeah.
man, that's
Anyways,
really good.
all right.
Okay.
What do you got?
Well, I would build off of that and then
Okay.
say, if you have one already, stick with it. Or if you want to add a new one, find a daily practice and don't make it huge, right? We're talking about doing some things in our challenge that are a little bit bigger than what I mean here, but small specific things that are values linked, right? And if you know what your values are, you can kind of pick one of those and one that you want to do. If one of your values is to keep yourself at peace, maybe the daily habit is to write down each morning how you want to show up that day, or how you want to handle something that's coming up that day that ensures that you follow that value, right? It could be something like that, but it should be specific, and it also needs to be something that can be missable but easy to return to, right? So if life happens, and it does, right? What can you do to get right back to it, right? So you don't want it to be something that's so big of a daily habit, like making it too big, like I'm going to go run every single day for 2 hours. Probably not realistic. But something, if you wanted to get out on a regular basis or do 10 minutes of walking either outside or on a treadmill or something like that at home, you can miss that and return to it the next day, right? Something like that. Because what daily practices do is they help us in small bite-sized chunks make the longer term changes that we want to make. And oftentimes we try to make those big changes too quickly because we want to get to the result that we want faster than we really can, right? Which is the equivalent of saying, I want to be able to, bench press 200 pounds someday and trying and going and doing it on your second try, right? Not only are you not going to do it, you're going to get hurt, right? And it's going to set you back. So choose one daily practice, make it values-based and missable but returnable.
All right.
Okay.
I would say another one would be similar to what I said earlier about trying to find the possibility in something. Allow yourself the opportunity to find something in there. But also then there's the question of like, what would happen if I kept showing up, if I kept doing the thing that I committed to? Because we're sitting here and we have lived X amount of years on this earth, and our listeners have done the same. And a lot of times I imagine, because I have been there too, that people get to New Year's Eve, they get close to that time period, and they look over their last year and they're like, oh, it was such a rough year because XYZ, maybe people passed away, you broke up, you lost your job, it was horrific. Something great happened.
Didn't accomplish what you wanted to accomplish, right?
Getting there. So, you look back on life and you're like, oh, that was such a rough year. Cannot wait to close the year. And then other people have had great years. Maybe they got married, they had a baby, they new job opportunity, they did some things that were mile markers that were fantastic. And they're like, great year, totally worth celebrating. Aside from those giant pieces that forced your life alteration, if you took those out, would the rest of your life look the same if it was lined up year after year after year after year? Probably because it was the big life things that altered the path that made it great or not. And what people miss is a lot of their life alterations can happen in the small areas.
It's in the daily.
In the dailies.
In the daily, in the mundane.
And that's usually where in the past I have gotten upset with myself because I'm like, I just went a whole nother year and it's pretty freaking similar to the year before and the year before and the year before. And not some of the bigger pieces might have changed and rearranged themselves in my life, but me as an individual, did I change? Did I do anything? Am I any different than who I was a year or two ago or whatever?
Right.
And that's where people sometimes get frustrated and upset.
Yep.
And then they're like, this is going to be the year I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so then what does that mean? If you're not going to live the same year over and over again, then what?
Right. And it begs the question, if the idea of doing those little things is to make sure you have a better year next year than you had this past year, you can't guarantee that through just your own actions. For the very reason that you talked about, outside things can happen, unexpected things can happen. So in some ways that's the wrong gauge, right? If we're going that right. But if we're going on what are the things that I can be doing more that I know benefit me on the daily, those smaller things that require continually showing up, you might actually see at the end of the year, if we look at it that way, oh, I have grown, I have shifted, right? Some of these things, even the tough things that happen on the outside, can teach us lessons or give us realizations or help us appreciate things more deeply than we did the year before, right? Usually, in my experience, when we look back on the previous year, and we would go, oh, it wasn't a great year, it's because things didn't go according to the expectations that we set.
Right.
It's one of the things that I have found so interesting on social media the last 4 or 5 years, right around this time of year, you start seeing all the memes about how everybody feels at the end of this year, right? This year can go away. This year can, usually in very colorful language. And you know what, Ashley? They're the same damn memes every single year.
They are recycled.
And everybody's saying that let's have the next year be better. And then they're complaining, 2026 just started. In January, it'll be like, 2026 feels like it's only been a month, but it feels like a year. The same stuff.
Yes.
And if we keep feeding that same set of expectations, whether it's about that or anything else, into our internal computers, we're going to end up with the same results.
Yep.
Right? So if you're one of those people posting those memes, can you please, for the love of all that is holy,
find a new meme.
Find something else and stop doing that, because there is something to be said about you can't do anything about all the stuff happening outside of control. But spice of life and aliveness is about finding it in the things that you can do. And so often that is in the day in, day out, stuff like that. I love that. Okay. The possibility lens. I love that. Outcomes, anchoring to outcomes. If you pull one off, awesome. If you say the outcome I want at the end of the year is I want to have lost 30 pounds by the end of the year, and you pull it off, awesome. But guess what? You're probably only getting there if you anchor your behavior over the next year and your choices to the values that should be driving you in the first place. And a value of that would be, I value my health. I value my well-being. I want to feel more settled, right? I want to be less hard on myself, those types of things. We need to anchor to our values. And if you do not know what your values are, and I don't mean what you believe in, those are different things, right? Beliefs are different than values, right? And one of the things I always like to point out is there's also a difference between what you believe and what you know. And we can confuse them sometimes, right? What we know comes from that space within us that when we're connected with ourselves, when we're grounded, when we're present, our minds and our emotions are speaking the same language. Those are the values that we come back to, right? Those are the things that we know. We know that kindness matters. We know that love matters. We know that teamwork matters, right? Beliefs are how we maybe need to get to something, right? Or I believe in this, or I believe in that. But it's always interesting when you write the word believe out, what's the word right in the middle? Lie, right? There can sometimes be a lie in that, right? In that belief.
It's interesting.
And yeah, it's something I feel pretty strongly about, as you can tell, because values are things that we actually can anchor to rather than our emotional states, rather than setbacks. We can go, no, my value is this, and that's going to be something I can keep coming back to. And so letting curiosity, courage, or being present, let those be the metric for the year. Is it, when you look back on 2026, if you say, I was a lot more curious this past year, and here's what I did with that. I read more books. I went to more places. I talked to more people. I put myself back in the dating world, whatever it might be. That's a success. That's aliveness, right? If you learn a new skill, learn a new language, right? I think that value is you want to be of service to your patients in more ways than the way you already are. And you're having an experience now with a new team member on board. It's helping everybody out. You're going to have more bandwidth to be able to do this. So you can show up better. That says a lot about your values, right?
Yep.
So those things, let those be the metric, not the outcomes.
I like it. That's a really strong point for people. I think a good takeaway.
Thank you.
For sure.
Appreciate that.
We have a few more minutes. I think we should go over some pitfalls.
Oh, good idea.
If you have any in mind.
Yeah. You want to start or you want me to
Sure.
start?
Oh, no, I can start. I would just, part of the, and this is a little close to home. So, the whole spice of life and I get excited is I'm like, what all can I do for the year? And I'm like, I can do so many things, which is true, but you can only do one at a time. And I would say be reasonable. Don't overload the year. Don't,
advice.
Make a list of 10 changes you want to do or something like that. Right. We all know that's going to not make it. It's going to go out the door in 2 weeks.
Yep.
If you make it that far.
Yep.
But not to overload the year. And maybe if there are certain things you want to do, then do one per month, and dedicate something like that if you really want to strive for something, but to just not overload yourself, because that's how you can quickly lose the momentum, you lose the excitement, and the excitement will come and go, but you will be setting yourself up for something that's not successful.
Yeah.
And then it will feel like a waste of time. It will feel like, why did I even do this? And I knew it. I wasn't going to keep this up.
Yep. And that fits in with why outcomes, establishing outcomes as a standard leads to that overloading, right? I love that. Another pitfall to avoid, waiting until you feel ready, quote unquote. Right? Guess what? You're never really going to feel ready. And if you feel ready one moment, you might not feel ready the next moment, right? It's a moment that when we feel that, we're like, I got to feel ready. I just got to know. That has everything to do with wanting to control the outcome, not wanting to make a step that goes wrong or not be disappointed that something doesn't work out the way you want it to. Or perhaps not to repeat a failure you've had in the past. You're taking a step again that you've taken before and it didn't work out so well.
Right.
You're never really going to feel ready. That's a belief, right? You don't need to know that you're ready. What you need to know is you have the capacity to try and adjust to whatever happens, whether it goes well or whether it goes poorly. So don't wait to quote unquote feel ready. That is a myth and it will keep you frozen more often than not.
That's a good one.
Thank you. What else you got?
I would say the all or nothing idea, like burn the boats.
Oh,
it's very drastic. It's very dramatic. It's very heavy.
Yeah.
And it usually will result in failure. And it kind of curtails with the overloading of a year. And because people are like, I'm all in. Like, I have to do all this. And I mean, maybe you have something really large in life, like you need to move and start your life over in another country or something. So then, of course, that is kind of an all or nothing. But your life, these things don't have to be that serious.
Yeah.
There's not many things in life that need to be that serious because the amount of pressure and expectation that comes with something like that, very few people are going to thrive in that kind of environment.
That's very true.
And if you know yourself well enough to know that that's not you, then there's no reason to put yourself in that environment.
I love that. Ooh, that's really well said. Rewind that, everybody, and listen to it again because that was a good point. The final one that I will put forward is don't turn curiosity, all these things, into pressure, right? You're going to have moments where you're not going to feel curious, where you just want to rest, where you just want to veg, where you just want to take a time out. You can do that. Curiosity is supposed to be about exploration. It's supposed to be about fun. It's supposed to be about seeing what might happen. And times, if you don't feel that because there's other things going on, right, big or small, that just aren't working, give yourself a little bit of grace, right? The idea of having a good year is not, we talked about it earlier, is not about what are all the outcomes, because so many things are going to happen that you have no control over. It's about how engaged are you in how your days, your hours, by minute, hour by hour, how are your days going to go? How engaged are you? That's what helps establish a really good year. So don't turn a good thing into the problem.
Nice.
Okay. All right. Any final thoughts, Ashley?
I think we're out of time.
Are we out of time? We are. Okay. We'll have more to say about this. Time goes by, but we hope you enjoyed this episode of Staying Power here on New Year's Eve. And once again, Happy New Year to all of you. Thank you so much for being a listener of the show. We really appreciate it. And if you're brand new, welcome. You're right on time for a great 2026. And we will be back next week in 2026 with our first episode of the year. And we hope that you'll join us for that. I am JD.
I'm Ashley.
We will see you soon. Take care, everybody. Happy New Year.